Per usual, to be honest, channel for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It is Setup Sunday. It is a short holiday week. It is probably a low volume weekend, low liquidity weekend. So be careful out there, especially on alts. BTC down 0.25% today. Alts down 3 to 10% today. Doesn't really feel like an alt environment when you're getting 2x on the upside and 10x on the downside. That is a skewed negative return. I want to separate today into a discussion for the holders. You really shouldn't be trading more than 50% of your stack at any given time. And a discussion for the traders, because what I have to say to the traders, the holders aren't going to really like, but they shouldn't care. They should actually root for price going down. If you're still dollar cost averaging or you're accumulating, doesn't matter. If you're playing the Q4 January 1st, 2026 game, what do you care? So for the holders, I would focus on maybe 3 charts. Maybe. We could go 5 charts if you want to go that deep. Obviously, we got to look at the weekly cloud, which is what this is. What on this chart is bearish? Absolutely nothing. The last time we got close to rolling over was April. That was the low. We're just sitting on the weekly key June. That is a huge level. If we lose that, if we break that, if we close below that, not a good sign. Last time we did that was back here. Then we did it again. Yes, we bounced, but to say that we will bounce when the chart looks like that is rough. Anything's possible. This is a game of probabilities. So we want to live above the weekly cloud. We want to live above the weekly key June. We lost a lot of good people back here who sold the bottom. A lot of good people. We don't even have a weekly Williams fractal yet to the downside. It's actually been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be our 7th straight green weekly. Okay, that's good to know for the traders. 7th straight green. What are the odds historically of 8, 9, 10? I'm going to say small, low. This is important when we're talking about June as well. This is where we start stringing things together. We're doing the weave. We got something for the holders, something for the traders. But in my eyes, it's all coming together towards June, maybe not so good. So back to the holders. I got a lot of people asking me about this weekly bear div. What is the evidence for a weekly bear div? Well, you have a higher high in price, you have a lower high in RSI. Fine. When was the last time we had a weekly bear div? We had a weekly bear div back here. Actually, this is the type of div I would like to see, where it's just barely. Okay, this is like, I don't know, 6 to 10 weeks, and you get a higher high in price, lower high in RSI, right? But you've got people comparing this current environment to this div. Okay, now was this a div? You got a higher high in price, lower high in RSI. Okay, was that a div? Yes. Okay. So the question is always, what is the evidence? And then what is the actionability behind that? If you think this is a div, I don't think it's confirmed. Okay, that's evidence against. But what is the actionability here? I don't think there is any actionability here for me. Am I going to sell my cold storage based on a weekly div that could take another 15 weeks to play out and then cancel itself on week 16 or cancel itself on week 5? Canceling a div here would be a higher high in price with a higher high in RSI. That's possible. Certainly possible. So we can talk about anything we want, but what is the actionability? I don't think there's anything to do on that, personally. Now, there were a few people, including myself, who at one point in time were pointing out this, which is a higher low in price and a lower low in RSI. That is a hidden bullish divergence. We had a lot of these in 2017. These are hard to spot if you don't know what you're looking for, but there's another one back here as well. Lower low in price. This is just a vanilla bullish divergence, I think, right? But at any rate, holders, you're doing fine. What do you not want to see? You don't want to see anything below the key June, anything below the cloud. So we're good on the cloud front. On a few other charts you might care about, 2-year moving average multiplier. When would I start selling my stack? When would I start hedging? Most people shouldn't hedge. Most people shouldn't trade. But if you're going to start to sell, I would do it closer to this level. You have to give yourself time. You know, I see this every cycle. I've seen it since time immemorial that I've been around. People love to sell early. They cannot hold on to winners. They absolutely just forget about it. Okay, stop logging into your account. Bury it in your grandma's basement, your cold storage hardware wallet, whatever. But you got to give it time. So if we looked like this, where we're close to your favorite chart, pick one. Okay, I like this. I like Power Law. I like MVRV. Are we close to the top? No. Are we going to have diminishing returns this cycle? I don't know, maybe. But if we don't, I want to be here in case we don't. Okay, so that's 300 sometime this year. Is the 200-week moving average heat map, this is the speed at which the 200-week is moving higher. Is this overheated? Is this screaming? No, this is cold. This is nothing of note going on here whatsoever. Do we look overbought on a massive timescale is the question here. No, we don't. Mayor multiple. Where is this at? This is price relative to the 200-day moving average. We look fine. We do not look overheated. Again, you can backtest this stuff. You can see how long it actually takes to play out. It even caught the plus token stuff, which not many things did. This looks fine. This is just a generic trend channel, okay? And yeah, all models are going to eventually be wrong. But do you want to bet on that this cycle? I don't. We've only seen one thing, and that is prices that go insane. Now, yeah, I could be wrong, but I'd rather be here to find out. Power law. Now, we didn't quite get close to the ceiling last cycle. You can apply some bands to the power law, but we're at the midpoint. So again, like, is this screaming, oh, I gotta do something? No, it's not. It just isn't. So yeah, it could be wrong. It could have been wrong for the past decade, just like everything else, but it wasn't. So here we are. Not really much to do there. And then on the MVRV, we are at 2.76. This is price relative to when coins have moved on chain last. So you can kind of think of it as unrealized profit sitting on chain. When this spikes super high, eventually long-term holders start selling, which they have been, and that's fine. Are we going to see diminishing returns on this? Sure, we can see diminishing returns on anything and everything forever. It doesn't matter. But right now, relative to what we've seen, we look okay. Could this be a head and shoulders here? That'd be interesting, right? Something to think about. I see no action here on any of this stuff for long-term holders. And if we want to think about how long could this cycle last, again, relative to other cycles, I give it a maximum of like 150 to 200 days, which brings us into the end of the year. So am I bullish for 2026? Absolutely not. Do I plan to be selling some cold storage into 2026 towards the end of the year, depending on what Q4 looks like? Absolutely. Am I willing to hold on to stuff in that bucket until then? Absolutely. So that's for the holders. For the traders, next month, June, hasn't been so good, especially 2019 on. July, much better month. We can slice this further and say, okay, what about a post-halving year, blah, 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 and whatever, fine. But just look at the red in June. That's all I have to say. And look at the green in July. Can we go 3 months positive in a row? Yes, we've done it before. April, May, June. Nothing's impossible here, but what do the odds say? What does the probability suggest? Probably a red month, along with 7 green weeks in a row. You know, maybe we cool off for a little bit, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. The holders are gone now, so as traders, we can talk. It's okay to pull back. It's okay. Funding is cold, similar to the 200-week moving average heat map. This is nothing, right? Funding is still leaning negative on a lot of this stuff. Is that end of cycle stuff? Back to the holders, because they're still here. We know they are. No, it's not. Okay. You don't see this at the end of the cycle. Retail's not here. Nobody cares. Look at alts, right? Alts are just bleeding constantly. Looking at positioning with the COT data, red is miners, blue is hedge funds, yellow is retail. You want to be on the opposite side of hedge funds and retail. You want to be on the side of commercials. So how this is positioned currently is quite bullish. Retail flipped from net short to net long, whatever, that's fine. They're kind of irrelevant anyway. The big thing here is commercials. You want commercials to be net long. We can see what it looked like previously, September to January 2025. That was around the election. What about around the ETFs? Same deal. Net long. What about before then? Mostly nothing or net short. There were a few times when they were net long. But look how it looks in the bear market, right? In the bear market, they're kind of non-existent, just sort of hedging. So this is very bullish positioning. We can still pull back with this. It's going to be harder to pull back, but we can still pull back. It's not impossible. I would be much more bearish if positioning wasn't as bullish as this. If positioning was flipped, if miners were selling, but they're not, they're adding. This is the longest miners have ever been in the history of this product. So it's really not about who's doing what. What does the back testing say? What is the actionability? That's what people need to understand here. The actionability is when red bars are positive, price goes up. That's just the trend. So that's what I'd like to see if you're bullish. For the daily cloud, the key June is problematic. It's at like 92, 93. We'll take a look at that in a second. That is pretty overbought. For the not 200 week, but the 20 week moving average, the 140 daily, we're actually not that far away from, based on what we've seen historically on backtesting. Again, I'm always looking at, well, what can we tolerate? The market can tolerate a much higher overbought signal relative to the 20 week moving average, the green line there. So where it sits here, if I have this correct, maybe I don't even have this correct, but in any case, similar to the Kijun overbought indicator, we look okay. It's just we're kind of fighting between how overbought can we get. If the upside is realistically 120 and downside is 92, we're kind of in the middle, I feel. It doesn't really feel like we are leaning super bullish in the near term on a risk-adjusted basis. And you can hit me with all this stuff about Bitcoin treasuries, companies buying. I'm not going to disagree with you. All I'm saying is the technicals look like a coin flip here for up or down as far as percentages. 92 is also the 50% move down of the previous range. So am I realistically expecting 92, 93, 94? Not really, but I want to have cash in case we hit that level. I'm not going to short this, but I'm also not going to 40x long this. Pitchfork, we look okay. Haven't quite gotten to the overbought area that we've gotten to previously. And it's possible into 2026, we just keep ping-ponging. We go from overbought to back to midpoint, overbought to back to midpoint. We just do this forever, right? I just don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. That's something to think about into 2026. Like, can the models break in a bullish way in duration? Sure, why not? On the daily cloud, we did cancel a bearish divergence on RSI. We got a higher high each time here in RSI. Fine. There's currently a Williams fractal on the daily at 102.2. That's a trailing stop loss. You got your Tenkin at 102.7 trailing stop loss. And there's the Kijun all the way down there at 93.3. This doesn't particularly look bullish to me. Now, it doesn't look bearish either. It's a little overstretched. So what would make sense here? Sideways or down more than continuation, flat out. If you don't like the stop loss at 102, which I kind of don't, just because I feel like if this starts to roll over, it's going to roll over pretty hard. There is a Williams fractal at 106.8 on the 12-hour. If you get a 12-hour close below that level, to me, for me, in my positioning, that means I'm out of IBIT, I'm out of BitB, I'm out of any BTC position. I want to be out of alts that I don't want to hold through the down. That's me. That's what it means for me. That's my actionability. So that's what I'll be watching. There's probably also a channel here on low time frames, something like this. So do we want to live outside of that if we're bullish? Not really. And this has been a great run, right? It's been a great multi-week run. Not saying cycle over, not saying we can't make new highs again, not saying this can't morph into a cup and handle, inverted head and shoulders. There's all sorts of stuff this could morph into. Here's your cup, and we could be making a handle. That's something to think about. Okay, we've also got this case. We got inverted head and shoulders. Sure, we'll take, it doesn't matter. Both of them measure to the same place. Both of them measure to the same place that the falling wedge measured to. Take the high, take the low, get your fibs, 140, 160. I'm just not sure if we've got the momentum to keep going here. That's the problem. Alts certainly don't. Alts haven't been doing so hot. ETH hanging in there, but on the alt charts, all I see is an M top on everything. Double top across the board. It feels like when there isn't momentum, no one wants to hold on to anything that isn't BTC. So if this confirms and if this completes, that would be a close around 2400. We can measure this. We can say, okay, where's the high? Where's the low? 2000, 2100. That wouldn't really make sense on the cloud. That's okay on the 12-hour. On the daily, that would make sense. There's a daily Kijun there at 2000. ETH hasn't been able to live above the cloud yet. So I would almost rather see this go flat or break down. Doesn't even need to go to 2000, but just, scribble in some stuff until we can get above the cloud. And then I can say with extremely high confidence that, wow, this looks great for an entry. Here, to me, this looks like junk, along with just about everything else. It's all same deal. What do you see? What do you see? Looks like an M to me. Now, this could fail. This could break up. I don't know. We're one tweet away on Memorial Day from Orange Man talking about tariffs on some other nation, right? It's like, it doesn't matter what the news item is that could get us there. it looks like we want to sell off a little bit. For Sol, I don't know if it goes back to 142, but hey, maybe. But clearly there's an M there as well. Sol, like ETH, just let it scribble in, you know? Just do whatever. People are so fixated on this edge-to-edge stuff, which I don't blame them. It's a great setup. It's a great idea. But the other part of the cloud to keep in mind is that when you're in the cloud, anything is possible. That's why it's a no trade zone generally. There's a specific trade and setup with the edge-to-edge that I like to take. But beyond that, the expectation is do nothing because it's indeterminate still. And like ETH, it's going to make the entry amazing. Amazing. It's just going to take probably months. Ripple, the same deal. I don't like Ripple till it's back above the cloud. I haven't traded Ripple in a long time, but I'd be pretty tempted if it gets fully bullish on the cloud. We're just nowhere near that yet. It's just flat sideways. Nothing to say. Pepe down 6%. Hasn't been able to hold on to the cloud. Okay, we move on. Next chart, right? Is there anything here that looks halfway decent? I think Curve at one point was holding above. Tau was holding above. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence. Does it justify an entry? I don't know, maybe. It's just alts as a group, as a category, don't look good right now, period. So I'm not really looking for trades. Doge, there's an M. We could just go down this list. This whole list looks not great. SWE just kind of drifting lower. ADA is basically Ripple. Same idea, same concept. Anything above 85 cents, decent shot. So alts really don't seem like they're the place to be. Link, there's a clear M there that's breaking down. It's not like we are consolidating bullishly anywhere here, even on WIF or Fart Coin or whatever. I just think it needs either sideways or down before up. That's it. And this looks like a giant rising wedge to me. Now it's clearly a rising channel. Fine. But I don't know. None of this stuff makes sense to me here. It just doesn't. And it shouldn't if Bitcoin looks mildly bearish at all. Now MSTR has led that. MSTR has broken the cloud, broken the midpoint of the pitchfork. I still like this 600 to 800 target. And the reality is the longer we hold the off pushing to that level, the higher the level gets. So if we don't do it this quarter, then it could be 1,000 in Q4. That could be the level. But as we stand here right now, that's why I sold MSTR at 406. Just didn't make sense to me. You have an M double top there. You have a VPVR level around 340. You have a Kijun at 333. So maybe into June, maybe it'll make more sense. But now here, doesn't make sense to me. WGMI, same thing. I think this needs some time. If BTC pulls back to anywhere near 100, WGMI is going to go to 15, 16. Easy. And you'll probably get a better entry, better setup. Coin has a bear div up here on RSI. I don't have it on the chart, but I checked it. So I'd be careful with that. Also looks kind of rising wedgy on lower time frames. Not fully bullish yet. Probably needs a couple weeks. I just think it's unlikely for momentum to continue on that one. Hood is another one. If we're talking about exchanges, I love this as a cup and handle if we get it. Maybe to 55 or something. But up here, it looks a little tired. Just looks a little tired. Now the cloud doesn't hate it, to be clear. It just looks a little tired, like everything else. So I like this if we get a pullback. So I think you generally just got to be careful. Schwab, the same deal. This chart just looks insane to me in a bullish way, but it's basically gone straight up for the past 7 weeks, much like a lot of legacy. A lot of the indices just need some time. Rivian still looks great to me. This is a long-term hold. This is a Q4, January 2026. Maybe it goes to 30, maybe it goes to 60. I don't know. Maybe it goes to 0. But I like the risk return profile of a breakout. It's that simple. I like it here. I like it lower. I like it at 10. I like it at 20. I think it goes higher. Lyft, not quite broken out yet, but something to watch in the same vein. EV, AI, ride sharing. I don't know what the theme is here, but a lot of this stuff looks great. Uber, same deal, looks great. But I think broadly, the market needs to calm down. Now, if there's anybody on Twitter, in the history of Twitter, that I've connected with more on charts, it's been TrendSpider. He speaks my charting language. Him and I are fellow chartists. And what he's charted out here is falling wedges or bullish channels, pennants, flags on NVIDIA, Amazon, Tesla, Oracle, JPM, Cisco. So if Legacy opens Tuesday and starts to blast off, crypto's going to do great. These charts look much more bullish to me than anything else previously I've shown in this video. especially alts, especially BTC. I just think it's going to be a week of nothing, maybe a month of nothing, mostly because we've had a great run since the lows here in April. So that's all I have for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.